A long time ago, when I first started this journey in speaking, a very, very good friend of mine told me this. He said, Peng Joon, if you want to speak internationally, you need to get an English name, because no one in the US, the UK, Australia is going to take a name like Peng Joon seriously. And I said, what? That sounds ridiculous. I've never heard of something like this before. And he said, think about it. Think of all the big name celebrities that's made it internationally. The one thing they all have in common is they all have an English name. Whether they work in Hollywood or whether they're in the speaking industry, if they are speaking in the US, UK, Australia, and they're worldwide, 100% they have an English name. So I thought to myself, that kind of makes sense. And then he told me this. He said, think about this. If you were in Australia right now, or in the US right now, they can't even pronounce your name. How do you expect them to remember your name if they can't even pronounce it in the first place? So I felt a little bit defeated. So what I did was I asked my parents. I said, Mom, Dad, apparently I can't make it internationally if I do not have an English name. So do you mind giving me an English name? Can I have your blessing? And they said, give me 24 hours and we'll come back to you. And after 24 hours, they came back to me saying, Peng Joon, we thought of a really good name. How's the name Penn, like Sean Penn, Penn, right? So I said, okay, I think being an internet marketer, the first thing I would do is I went online and I typed in the words Pen Chan, right? My surname is Chan, my family name is Chan. So I typed in Pen Chan. There's a laptop over here. So what I did was I typed in Pen Chan, and I don't know if you can actually see this, but apparently, so I wanted to see if penchan.com was available, and I realized that Penchan actually meant that it was edible cannabis. It was like, it's weed online, right? So I said, Mom, apparently my name has got a totally different meaning online, and that's not gonna work. And my parents they sat me down and said, Joon, why don't you just use the name we gave you? And this was a long time ago. This was like 7 years back. And fast forward today, now that I've spoken in more than 20 countries around the world, in London, in Amsterdam, in Germany, in Australia, in the US, I realized that at the end of the day, what it really was just a limiting belief, a self-limiting belief. A limiting belief that I told myself a long time ago, and somehow it was true for me at that time. Now, what I'd like you to ask yourself is, what is that self-limiting belief that you have in your life right now? Because many times people tell me this. They tell me all these different reasons and justifications, things like, I'm too young to do this, or I'm too old to do this. Think about this. If you constantly tell yourself, I'm too young to do something, eventually what's going to happen? Eventually, you're going to tell yourself, I'm too old to do this. And all these different reasons. Think about what is the self-limiting belief that you have in your life right now that's holding you back from where you are to where you want to be. Because at the end of the day, what is the difference between a belief and a fact is that a belief is not universal. That may be true for you today, right now, but it may not necessarily be true for somebody else. That is the difference. Think about what is your self-limiting belief, and think about how you can break that limiting belief by breaking a pattern and doing something different.